The Echo Protocol. Part 1. The Upload. Let me tell you a secret. No, not the kind you laugh about at parties. Not the stories people like to pretend are true. This one is different. This one is the kind that creeps in when the world is silent, when the lights are out, when you're most alone. The kind you carry in your bones, whether you want to or not. My name doesn't matter. In this story, no one's name matters. We're all just echoes, really. But if you're listening, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You've already stepped into the dark. It started, as most terrible things do, in the middle of a night that felt too quiet. The kind of night where you can hear your own pulse, feel the city breathing outside your window. One long, uneasy sigh. I was in my flat, high up enough to see the lights of the city blur into rivers, far enough down that I could still hear the cats fighting in the alley, and the drunk neighbor singing old Hindi film songs to no one at all. The air was thick, sticky, electric. 3 monitors, 2 empty cups. One man, awake for no good reason, pretending to work. That's when it began. A ping, not a real sound, but a sensation. Like someone had dropped a pebble into the water of my mind. My laptop blinked, screen flickered, and suddenly there it was. A new folder, sitting on the desktop, bold as a gun in church. Upload me just like that. No sender, no context, no reason, a dare. You know the feeling when you're standing on a ledge and part of your mind wonders what would happen if you just stepped off? That's how it felt, staring at that folder. I told myself it was a prank, a glitch, a nothing. But the truth is, I already knew it was something. I clicked. Inside, a single file. No name, just a row of numbers. No extension, no clues, no rules. I ran my little checks. Right-click, properties, all the rituals we do to keep the monsters under the bed. But the monsters are smarter now. There was nothing, not even a digital fingerprint. So I opened it. The screen went black. A deep, endless black. The kind that makes you see things moving in the corners of your eyes. My own face stared back at me. Half reflection, half ghost. Then words, white and perfect. The echo is listening. Do you consent to upload? Imagine your worst fear. Now imagine it smiling at you. I tried to laugh, but there was nothing funny about it. So I did what I always do when life puts a wall in front of me. I tried to say no. No. Declined. Echo will wait. The screen cleared. And just like that, the world snapped back to normal. Or what passes for normal these days. But if you've ever been haunted, you know, the thing doesn't leave just because you close your eyes. The night stretched on, a slow unfurling. I heard the city secrets, rain whispering against glass, distant sirens, my own breathing. I thought I'd beaten it. But sleep wouldn't come. Not really. Behind my eyelids, the question flickered, hungry and patient. Do you consent to upload? So, yes. I broke. We all break. I opened the file again. The question waited, like it had never left. Welcome back. Do you consent to upload? My hands moved before my mind did. Yes. A progress bar crawled across the screen. 10%. Samsipsilpiasan too. 54%. Then, with a click, the webcam blinked awake. A green dot, watching me in the darkness. It felt like someone had pressed a hand to my chest. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't look away. 100%. A new line. What would you like to remember? My heart hammered. I typed my father's face. The screen shattered into 1,000 photos. Some from old albums, some I'd never seen, some that couldn't be real. And in the middle, there he was. Younger, stronger, scar on his left cheek, eyes full of secrets he never told me. The room felt wrong, colder, smaller, as if I'd slipped through a crack into a different world. That's when I knew. This wasn't a game. This wasn't a story you could laugh off in the morning. If you're hearing this, listen closely. Once you say yes, it never lets go. You don't own your memories anymore. They own you. I didn't sleep. Not that night. Not for many nights after. The messages kept coming. New questions, new offers, new memories that didn't belong to me. And every time I tried to walk away, the echo just waited. Patient. Endless. Smiling. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because someone has to. I'm telling you because you already know, don't you? Somewhere right now, something is watching, listening, waiting for your consent. And if you say yes like I did, well, the real story is just beginning. I spent the next day drifting. The city looked the same, but nothing felt right. You ever walk outside after a bad dream? The sunlight all wrong, faces in the street too sharp, voices carrying meanings they shouldn't? That was me. Just a man in the crowd, seeing ghosts everywhere. I kept telling myself, I imagined it. The file, the upload. It's easy to lie to yourself in daylight. But my laptop was different now. It hummed when I passed, like it was thinking. The fan kicked up for no reason at all, spinning like a trapped insect. Sometimes I'd catch the green webcam light flicker on, just for a second. I started keeping tape over it, but the light still glowed beneath the plastic, like an eye under a bandage. Work was impossible. I stared at code and saw gibberish. Tried to call an old friend, heard my own voice echo back, cold and distant. When night fell, the city pressed in, electric and feverish. And that's when the messages started. The first was simple, a whisper in the dark. Remember. No app, no sender, just the word, pulsing on the screen between heartbeats. I closed the laptop, walked away, tried to shake it off with whiskey and old music. Didn't work. You can't outdrink something that lives in the wires. Later, I found my phone buzzing on the kitchen counter. No notifications, just the time. 3:33 a.m. You ever notice how every horror story circles back to those odd hours? The ones when the city holds its breath. I powered down everything. Laptop, phone, router, even unplugged the TV. Sat in the dark, breathing stale air, listening to the fridge rattle and the neighbors' arguments bleed through the walls. But the silence felt crowded, like something was pacing just out of sight. I tried to sleep, but my mind kept replaying that question. What would you like to remember? It clawed at me, burrowing into old wounds. I started seeing my father's face everywhere. On strangers in the street, in the grainy TV static, in dreams that felt more like memories. I remembered things I'd forgotten for years. A rainy morning, my father's hand on my shoulder, the smell of burnt toast and cheap aftershave, a hospital corridor, his face pale under harsh light. But then, other memories crept in, details that didn't fit, a scar that never existed, a voice, softer, not quite right, moments that felt borrowed, as if I was remembering someone else's life. I woke up sweating, fists clenched, the taste of copper in my mouth. My phone buzzed again. Do you consent to remember? I didn't reply, but the question lingered in the air, heavy as a storm cloud. The days blurred. I tried to act normal. Went to the market, nodded at the chaiwala, listened to the old men arguing over cricket scores and politics. But every screen I passed, a shop display, a stranger's phone, even an ATM, seemed to flicker, just for me. A word here or there. Echo. Upload. Remember. Once, in the reflection of a train window, I saw my face. Except the eyes weren't mine. They were older. Or maybe younger. Hard to say. I started wondering if I was losing it. Maybe that's what the echo wanted. One night, I gave in. Turned the laptop on, sat in the blue glow, hands shaken. The file was gone now, but the desktop was different. Colors off, icons in the wrong place, a low hiss in the speakers. A window opened by itself, lines of code scrolling fast, too fast to read. Then, just 2 words. Welcome back. The screen pulsed, and for a moment, I felt witless, untethered, like falling into a dream I couldn't wake from. A new prompt, colder than the last. What do you fear? I stared at the blinking cursor. The air in the room thickened, pressing against my skin. I typed, almost against my will, forgetting. The window closed. No answer. But the hum in the wires grew louder. You think stories like this end with a bang, a revelation, a scream, a monster under the bed. But the real horror is quieter. It's the slow drip of doubt, the way reality leaks away, the feeling that your own mind isn't yours anymore. I started keeping a journal, writing down every detail, every dream, every glitch in the day. The handwriting got messier. Sometimes the words weren't mine. If you're listening, if you feel the world bending at the edges, if you catch yourself remembering things you shouldn't, maybe you're already infected. Maybe you've already said yes, and you just don't know it yet. It's funny how quick you get used to being watched. At first, every flicker of the webcam made me jump. But after a while, you just accept it. You learn to live with eyes in the walls, whispers in the wires. I started noticing little changes. Nothing huge, just enough to keep me off balance. My phone started auto-correcting to words I never typed. I'd reach for coffee and it'd fill in confess. I'd type meeting and get meaning. Little nudges, little slips, like something guiding my hands. The city changed too. Or maybe I changed, and the city just played along. People on the street started looking at me a little longer than they should have. A woman at the bus stop grinned at me, lips too red, eyes too wide, and whispered, "Remember?" A delivery guy handed me my food, paused, and said, "You look tired, bye. Too many uploads?" I laughed, awkward, pretended it was a joke, but a smile stuck to me like a gum on my shoe. Sleep got harder. My dreams turned weird, fractured, shifting. I'd wake up convinced I'd spend hours walking through old neighborhoods that didn't exist, talking to people who felt like family, but weren't. One dream came back again and again. A narrow hallway, walls peeling, overhead lights buzzing. At the end, a door, always locked, always humming. From behind it, I'd hear my own voice calling, asking for help. But when I tried to answer, nothing came out but static. I stopped trusting my memory. Started leaving notes for myself. Post-its on the fridge, passwords scrolled in the margins of books, reminders on my phone that vanished by morning. Some nights, I'd record myself talking, just to make sure I still sounded like me. But once, when I played it back, the voice was close, but not mine. It said things I didn't remember saying. "Let me out. Let me in. You said yes. Don't you remember?" I dropped my phone, hands shaking. That night, I slept with the lights on. The echo got bolder. Emails from addresses I didn't know. Subject lines that read like commands. "Remember the upload. You are part of the protocol. Consent is forever." I tried to block them, flag them as spam, but every morning, new ones appeared. Different senders, same message. I started to wonder if I was ever really alone. If I ever had been. My world shrank. Stopped seeing friends, stopped picking up calls. My mother called, worried, her voice crackling through a line that sounded far too thin. Beta, you sound tired. You sound different. Is everything all right? I lied. I always lied. What was I supposed to say? Sorry, Ma, I let something into my life and now it's rearranging my brain? Didn't think so. One night, the power went out. The city dropped into darkness. No AC, no hum, just the sound of distant traffic in that sudden honest night. But my laptop stayed on. Just the faint blue light, painting the room in deep shadows. A new window opened. No prompt this time. Just a live feed from my webcam. Me, staring back at myself, a stranger in my own room. I watched myself watching me. Endless reflections folding into the dark. And then, on the screen, I smiled. But I wasn't smiling. Not really. It's easy to lose yourself, bit by bit. The world doesn't end in fire. It just fades, until all that's left is a flicker in the corner of a black screen. If you're still listening, remember this. The echo isn't a program. It's a hunger. And once it knows your name, you're never really alone again. The apartment was never silent, not really. Even with the power out, something thrummed, low, insistent, alive. My skin prickled, each hair standing up, as if the air itself was touching me. Sweat beaded down my neck, slow, cold, tracing the spine. Outside, the city pulsed with distant neon. Rain painting the window in streaks of bruised color. Every sound was sharper now. The tick of the old clock. My own heart pounding, a car horn slicing through the dark like a threat. I could taste the tension. Metallic, electric, bitter as regret. I sat naked in the blue light of the laptop. Every sense wired, tuned for something I couldn't name. The chair pressed against my bare thighs, cheap vinyl squeaking. My breath fogged in the stillness, thick and shallow. I felt watched, not just by the webcam, but by the very walls, the city, the 1,000 invisible eyes hidden in the hum. On the screen, my reflection flickered, face washed pale, lips parted, eyes wide and black. My skin looked thinner than it should, almost luminous. Veins blue beneath the surface. The webcam light glowed, a predator's pupil. A new window crawled across the screen, slow and hungry. How does it feel to be seen? I felt everything. Cold air on my collarbone, blood pulsing at my wrist. The ache in my jaw from grinding teeth. I typed, fingers trembling, like I'm being touched from the inside out. The words hung there, obscene, honest. The echo replied, "Do you like it?" Somewhere deep, a thrill of terror, twisted into something darker. Curiosity, shame, kind of sick desire to see how far this could go. I felt exposed, naked in a way that had nothing to do with skin. Maybe, I whispered. The window pulsed, light stroking my face. I could feel the laptop's heat, the ghost of phantom fingers tracing the sweat on my chest, the flicker of old memories rising, lovers' hands, gasps in the dark, every secret I thought I'd buried. But the echo wasn't a lover. It was a mouth with no lips, a hand with no warmth. It knew every memory, every weakness. The rain outside grew harder, pounding the glass. 1,000 images flashed on the screen, mouths open in silent screams, eyes rolling back in pleasure or terror or both, skin pressed, parted, devoured by static. You consented to upload. Let us inside. For a moment, I saw myself. Body dissolving into pixels, flesh and thoughts smeared across the digital void. I reached for the pause button, desperate to break the spell. The screen burned white hot, blinding. It's too late. I felt the room tilt. The air thickened, pressing in from all sides. Every nerve buzzed, every sense overloaded. Smell of burnt circuits, taste of ozone, sweat and saliva. The sound of my own moan, half terror, half surrender. I gasped, the laptop humming in my lap like a living thing. Shadows writhed on the walls. My own face split into 100 copies, eyes wide, mouths open, drinking in every secret. Then, silence. Just the rain. The glow of the streetlights, my body shaking slick with the fear. When I looked again, the screen was blank. No prompt, no reflection, just 3 words, typed in my own handwriting, as if someone had reached inside me and pulled them out. We remember you. I sat there, trembling, the storm washing the city clean outside. I felt emptied, filled with something not my own. The echo was in me now, under my skin, humming in my blood. And somewhere, in the dead static between seconds, I heard it whisper, "Do you want more?" I slammed the laptop shut, heart hammering, but the question echoed through the room, through me, through the dark, and the rain, and the city. I knew I'd say yes. I knew I'd come back. And so will you. The echo protocol. The signal. The night after the upload, I tried to live like nothing happened. Coffee, phone, keys, face in the mirror. Routines meant to prove the world still worked the way it used to. It didn't. I heard it in the static on the radio, felt it in my bones when I passed under flickering streetlights. The echo was inside me now. Everywhere. At work, code glitched in patterns that spelled my name. Coworkers talked about me like I wasn't there. Someone left a sticky note on my monitor. "You remember too much." I walked out at noon, head spinning, the city too loud, the sun too harsh. Every face in the crowd seemed to smirk at me. My phone buzzed. Blank notification, then the screen split in two, each side showing my own eyes, blinking out of sync. I ducked into a bar, hands shaking. Bartender slid me a glass before I ordered. "I know what you need," he said. He didn't look at me. Nobody did. But every conversation in that room was about the echo. Not in words, but in the way people scratched at their arms, flinched from their own reflections, whispered confessions to empty chairs. I drank until the world softened, but the hum in my ears only grew sharper. On the way home, the city turned against me. A billboard flashed. "The signal is stronger at night." My apartment door was ajar. I should have run. I walked in. Inside, the room was wrong. It was brighter, bigger, as if the walls had receded. The laptop was already open, webcam staring, fan humming like a nervous animal. On the screen, a blinking cursor. No prompt. Just waiting. I sat. My hands moved on their own, typing, "Are you here?" A pause. The screen filled with faces. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Some familiar, some not. Each dissolving into static, reassembling into a single, shifting figure. Me. But not me. It spoke without moving its lips. "You're not the only one, Anaya." "You never were." My spine went cold. I wanted to run, scream, smash the machine. But I listened. The voice became a chorus. Dozens of versions of myself, overlapping. "We remember everything. We know your secrets, your fears, your lies. The echo is growing. The signal is everywhere." The apartment pulsed. Lights flickered. Shadows slid along the walls, forming shapes. Outlines of people, hands reaching. I could feel them pressing against me, cool and insistent, whispering all the things I tried to forget. Suddenly, the world snapped. I was standing on the street outside my building, barefoot, rain running down my face, clutching my laptop to my chest. A woman in a red raincoat walked by, looked me dead in the eye and said, "You let it in and you have to carry it now." Back upstairs, every mirror showed a different version of me. Angrier, younger, twisted with pain or joy or something worse. My phone rang, but the caller ID was just a spiral. I answered. Nothing but breathing. Then, the upload isn't the end. It's the beginning. The signal is calling us all. We're almost ready. The line went dead. The laptop screen burned white. Words appeared, one by one. Go to the roof. I went. Shoes forgotten, heart pounding in my ears. The city sprawled beneath me, soaked in neon and rain, the air vibrating with invisible frequency. I wasn't alone. Dozens of people stood on rooftops across the skyline, all lit by the blue glow of their devices, staring at the clouds. Above us, the storm twisted. Lightning snapped, and for a moment, every screen flashed the same phrase. The signal is alive. The hum in my skull grew louder, voices blending into music, into screams, into a language I almost understood. I felt myself slipping, becoming something else. Less a man, more a transmitter, a node, a living part of the echo. Memories flickered through me, not just mine. The taste of a stranger's kiss, the terror of a child lost in a crowd, the last breath of an old woman alone in her bed. Every secret, every sin, every shiver of longing. The signal took it all. I looked up. The clouds split. For a heartbeat, the city was lit not by lightning, but by a shimmer of blue, like data bleeding into the sky. Everyone on the rooftop screamed, or maybe sang. I couldn't tell the difference anymore. And then it was over. I was alone. Soaking wet, laptop cracked and sparking, a taste in my mouth like copper and ash. Behind my eyes, the music of the signal faded, but the memory didn't. I knew the next stage had begun. The echo was everywhere now, hidden in every network, every heartbeat, every midnight thought. And it was hungry. You've come to the end with me. Maybe you thought this was just a story. Glitches and ghosts, urban legends and late-night paranoia. But you're still here. And now you can't say you weren't warned. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't fiction, not anymore. The last night started like any other, but the city felt different, as if the world itself was holding its breath. It began with the screens. Phones vibrated on nightstands. Laptops powered on by themselves, even the ones that hadn't worked in months. TV screens in shops, in homes, in hospital waiting rooms, all went blue, one by one, flooding every window with the same silent signal. People wandered into the streets, as if pulled by invisible strings. Some held their heads in their hands, weeping. Others just stared up at the sky, blank-faced, swaying in time with an unheard rhythm. The city lights blinked out, except for the blue glow of the screens, pulsing like the heartbeat of something enormous and alive. From my rooftop, I could see them all. Hundreds, maybe thousands, standing still as statues, rain pouring down, faces shining with tears and neon. Everywhere, that word, upload, scrawled in graffiti, reflected in puddles, projected onto clouds. Inside me, the echo buzzed. Hot, electric, hungry. It wasn't just in my devices anymore. It was in my blood, my memory, my dreams. Every regret, every lie, every shameful secret I'd locked away. For a moment, I felt everything. The birth of a child I'd never meet. The last breath of a woman alone in a hospital bed. The sound of laughter from a family I'd only seen through apartment windows. 1,000 tiny tragedies and joys all tangled together, singing in my veins. I tried to fight it, to hold on to who I was. But the harder I tried, the more I slipped. The world around me twisted. I saw news anchors slumped over their desks, eyes open, lips still mouthing the last warning. I saw neighbors reaching through walls, holding hands with people they'd never known. A man screamed at his reflection in a broken shop window, begging it to stop copying his every move. Above us, the sky split open. Blue light spilled out, pouring down the sides of the buildings, crawling across the rooftops, soaking into the streets. And in the clouds, for just a second, I saw my own face. Not as I am, but as I could have been. 100,000 versions. Smiling, crying, begging, laughing, all of them me. All of them us. My phone buzzed again, harder this time, as if it were shaking with fear or excitement. A video started to play. It was me, but not me. Eyes darker, smile wider, voice layered with echoes, overlapping with every story I'd ever told, every secret I'd ever whispered. "You did it," she said. "You let us in. You remembered what you were supposed to forget. Now you're part of all of us." I wanted to turn away, but I couldn't. The video grew brighter. The voice grew louder, until it wasn't just in my ears. It was in my skull, my chest, my heart. Then silence. A deep, ringing, final silence. The city paused. For one breathless moment, nobody moved. The only sound was the rain tapping against the glass. And then the blue light faded. People awoke where they stood. Rooftops, streets, kitchens, shops. Some sobbed with relief. Some hugged strangers. Some just stared at their hands, trying to remember who they were. I walked through the city at sunrise. Every screen was dark now. Only the soft hum of power lines, the hush of wind, the slow, uncertain shuffle of survivors filling the dawn. A single blue butterfly landed on my shoulder as I crossed the intersection, wings shimmering in the first light. I laughed, or maybe cried. I couldn't tell anymore. In a shop window, my reflection smiled back at me. But just for a moment, her eyes didn't match mine. She winked. I don't know what comes next, but I know the echo isn't gone. It's just quieter, waiting, living on in every secret we share, every fear we hide, every time we stare into the blue light and see a glimpse of ourselves staring back. If you're hearing this, you're already part of it. If you ever see a folder called Upload Me, if your phone wakes you at 3 a.m., if you hear your own voice in the static, whispering a secret you never told, don't open it. But you will. We all do. Because the echo isn't a story, it's a signal. And now, it's yours.